it going to work? Maybe it's not going to work. Okay, hi. Welcome to the stream, everybody.
Hello.
I'm really lucky today because Chris has, joined me today in the stream, so we can talk about a great deal of things and creativity and art and all kinds of jazz and thoughts and teaching and everything that we can, right? So I'll just go through the quick thing, and then we'll start saying hi to everybody. This is today's page that I have posted. This is a suggestion of a superhero who always gets in the way, I think it was. And so this is, I drew it, I've just penciled it and then did all the coloring digitally, so it was fun. So that's today's page. Let's start saying hi to everybody. And Chris, thank you for joining me, and welcome everybody to Chris Kilue. How do I got to put your link down, Chris. What is your link? What would you like people to look you up on?
Well, the channel has got my name, so if they just follow my name and something like that would be fantastic.
Okay, excellent. Please, people, do that. So we've got Miriam has joined us, saying hi to all the Chris's.
Okay.
Hey, and Chris has joined us. And then Jim, names taken. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, Jim. All Chris. All right. That's fun.
Yeah, this is the Chris's festival today.
Chrisapalooza, Chris Fest. I loved all these wonderful random names that we've been trying to come up with for it. I'm going to switch my camera up a little bit and get my big goober of a face out of the way. So welcome aboard, Chris. We've got all kinds of opportunity here. Like, if you want to work on stuff while we're doing things, I'm 100% behind that. But if you would like to show people some of the things that you have been working on, for anybody that might not have had the opportunity to go to see your site as yet, which I don't, I think that a lot of people hopefully have done so. But if you want to start showing the needlepoint pieces, I'd asked you about specifically because these are just wonderful to me.
These are the ones that are,
But please feel free to showcase and talk about any of the processes that you're going through right now, because it is such a departure from anything that I might be doing.
Yeah, that's right. It's totally different to what I was doing. Even with the foam clay that I made with Miriam is totally different. This is awesome. But let me give a little bit of background how this started.
Yes,
I was at school, 3 hour. A colleague saw me doing this. That is the pointillism.
Okay.
And she was the one who directed me to needle felting, because that's the name of this thing. And she told me, if you can do pointillism for hours, you can needle felt. And I was like, that sounds interesting. So I started watching videos and I saw people handling this kind of, they call them needles, but for me, they are like razor blades. They're quite dangerous because they have like small little blades or dents or something. And they come in different sizes. So I have to be very careful with these. I don't want to stab here live.
Now,
that wouldn't be good.
Is that a number of needles that you had fanned out in your hand, or is that one device? Okay, it's a bunch.
Yeah, they come in different colors. You have the Chinese ones that are the cheapest ones and break easily. but they come with different colors, so you can identify the thick, medium, and the fine size. So it was the first thing I had to learn, the nomenclature of needles. The bigger the number, like 32, 36, they
Yeah.
are thicker, and the smaller the number, they make like better finish to whatever you want. And you have these finger guards that for me they're fantastic. Definitely.
Those are great. Very
Avoid,
stylish.
you avoid stabbing yourself, and that's very important. I'm so afraid of needles. You have no idea how afraid I am of needles. I
Is
remember
that,
I made a scandal at the doctor's office when I was 5 years old. All the
oh,
hospital heard me, so I didn't want the vaccine.
oh, is that right? I'm
Imagine.
I'm absolutely terrified of needles.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I can't be.
And this
When
this
I was
is
younger, I was, but
no,
now I
it's
have
it's
to.
it's horrible. It's
Yeah.
horrible. So when they told me that this was needles, I was like, oh, needles, no. But anyway, I conquered my fear.
Yeah. Good.
And
Good.
I started needle felting exactly on September 20th. So 2 months ago. It's exactly
Oh
2 months
my.
ago. And this is what you use normally. This is wool,
Yeah.
um, processed. It's colored. I have some colors here that I can show you, but you have different textures, and depending on the texture, it goes inside or the outside, and you create like uh, hair for people or fairies or animals, and well, and it's amazing that you have this, and you can transform these things into this.
That's wonderful.
So this is my first attempt of cat. This is another cat. This is Nico, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
If you know Nico, you know that this is his
Yeah.
signature colors.
Now, does he feel in any way threatened by being replaced by this other cat or anything like that?
Well, he has tried to stolen. Well, he has stolen my chicken.
Chicken?
Yeah, he
Conspiracy
did this
chicken.
one. So I barely rescue him, but
That's
he did this
fantastic.
one.
Okay, so to get
Then
the color into these pieces, because clearly maybe it's your natural aptitude towards crafting, maybe it's your natural aptitude towards creativity in general, that
yeah,
you've
I think
you've
it
you've,
is.
you've already become quite proficient at this. But how do you go about the coloring process? Because I'm sure that that's a step that many people would have a hard time leaping towards.
Well, I think that the coloring, it's not really that complicated. This is the hamster I finished the I think a couple of days ago or something like that. The coloring is not that difficult. If you're an artist and you know how to mix colors, you can do this. The problem is the sculpting. If the basic figure is not sculpted well enough, the colors
Mhm.
aren't going to work. So that's why I'm not very happy about this one, because it has got bigger ears.
Is
But
it a
anyway,
question of density?
yeah, it depends a lot on the material and proportions and things like that. So if you are good at sculpting, then you can probably do this. But yeah, I'm going to take you through a sample kind of process here,
Please do.
because yeah, this wool is expensive, and you can get pounds or something for a lot of dollars. So what I discovered is that you can use, let me just put this in the bag or I'm going to lose the legs. You can use synthetic fabrics, the ones that you can use to fill in cushions or whatever, stuffed dolls. And these, you can sculpt this faster, much faster than the wool. One piece like this can take you probably, if you're slow, 2 hours
Okay.
just to have the basic shape. And for the chicken, that is not really that complicated, it took me like 30 minutes.
Oh my.
So it really helps to put a little bit of core here and the inside. And later you can just color it with the wool.
Okay.
Let me just tell you what else you need.
Please do.
Normally the kits, the basic kits, I got the basic one, the cheapest one that I could from Amazon. They normally are this big. So it's a bag with the needles, but this is the coolest thing, the
Oh, isn't
colors.
that fun?
The colors, look at these.
So this is all colored wool.
Yeah, exactly. This is like 2 grams. It's not that much, but it's enough for a small doll like this size, more or less.
Wow.
So it
Wow.
has got like 20 something colors. I don't remember if it's 24 or 26 colors. So it's really cool. It's
Now, when
really
you
cool.
say 2 grand, that's pesos.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that much, but
No.
I mean, I'm going to try and take one out. So it's not that much. If I kind of spread it or trying to stand the fibers, it's not really that much, but it's enough for a small figure.
There's a
Yeah.
silly thing that we do here in Canada, where we'll take a bag of inexpensive bleached wool, and people will spread it amongst their doorways or across their bushes, like their hedges on top, and
Okay.
they'll stretch it out. In Halloween, they'll do it to make spider webs.
Oh,
And in
interesting.
around Christmas time, they'll use it to fabricate snow on top,
Okay.
in case they
It's
don't have enough snow, which we get snow. So I don't know why people do it at Christmas, but it's an interesting thing. But it's I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do it with anything like dyed wool.
yeah. I mean, this is something new. It's not necessarily that is well, it's different, but definitely it's not new. You can also get kits like this. I wanted more colors, so I'm not
Okay, so
sponsoring this one, but
you've got
it's got
your
a
tools.
very, very good range of colors.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I've been using black a lot,
Uh-oh.
but I got more black. And
There
this
you
is
go.
a different type of wool. This one I think is like carded because the fibers are kind of entangled and it looks different to this one that has got long fibers.
Okay.
So
No,
yeah, you do need to investigate this one. This one is good for these animals that don't have like fur, that is just like the imitation, but they don't have actual like little hair or fur.
yeah.
Like if this was, for example, a guinea pig, I wouldn't use this one. I would probably use strands of this one
Isn't
to
that
mock,
interesting?
yeah, to mock the hair. Let me see if I have here an example of my first practices. Because yeah, I mean these figures that you saw, they look nice right now, or kind of nice or acceptable. My perfectionist side is speaking already because I see the mistakes.
Oh,
But
sure. Yeah.
yeah, you need to practice. And this is my practice path that I started with the first kit that I show you, the cheapest one. And this is just for letting you practice how to make basic figures, like, for example,
I see.
pancakes, and then color them, and making sure that you can make straight lines without invading the next color, that you can do thin lines.
Oh,
This one kind of mocks kind of a stuffed animal. And yeah, the quality that I have of wool here is not necessarily to kind of resemble a real animal, but next week I will get merino wool. That is, I think, the best one in the market. And when you lay that merino wool like this, you can actually resemble the real fur of an animal. And
That's,
people create 3D portraits of animals. And I would
oh,
like
good.
to try that.
I think you'd
But
be good at it.
yeah, it requires practice. Right now, I'm trying to aim to produce something like this.
Yeah, I think you're on your way for that.
Yeah, if I can do something like this in 6 months, like trying to, I'm going to put this title in case you want to find it. I got this from Amazon, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to use the iPad. This is a company in the USA that produces 3D portraits of animals, and it's just so amazing. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I really want to do that. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it,
I can, yeah.
but I don't want the email. But anyway, oh, come on. So these are cats and dog portraits.
Oh, isn't that something?
They accept orders like every 3 months or something like that. But I mean, even the small ornaments are just amazing. And they send the photo of their pets and they get the portrait. And I think this is just amazing.
I think so too, but I don't think you're going to be too far away from, you know, having quite a degree of proficiency in doing that. Miriam says less than 6 months it'll take you, Chris.
I
After
hope, Miriam, I do hope that this happens
Well, I
because
think I got to
anyway,
agree with you based on the results of the things you're already producing.
yeah.
I mean, it's quite compelling. Miriam, I think you've started something. Miriam says, "Oh, I have a lot of that in referral to your wool."
Oh,
Uh-oh.
okay.
Uh-oh.
So the only thing you
Miriam
need
can get into this
is the
too.
needles, Miriam, if you have the patience to do it.
So, okay, you've got your wool and you've got your
Mhm.
needles.
Yeah. How do we
Then,
start?
yeah.
Like in elementary school with the basic forms. So these are actual sizes. So this is for the rabbit. Uh, my ears are a little bit bigger, so I have to work on the proportions. But anyway, kind of looking like a rabbit, but still needed to make it a little bit chubby, something like that. But this is how you start with. You start with the basic figures, and you have to start with your. Um, Let me take out my synthetic one. This is the one that is synthetic fabric. There are a lot of tools. Some people have tools with 3 or 7 or 8 needles at the same time.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable with that. I think it's just too many blades in a single
Yeah.
place and
Yeah.
just ready to stab you. So no.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes limiting the amount of tools that we use on any given thing is more beneficial to us because it strips us away from that whole complicated, what specific size is for this? What specific size of
yeah,
tools for
that's
that?
right.
Keeps you
Yeah.
from getting work done.
Yeah, so you normally start with the biggest number. This one is the one that came with the kit, so I really don't know the number. I know it's the thickest one, so it's the one that I normally use and start felting with this one, and then I move down. So let me try and see if I can get another kind of body. So yeah, you have to be very careful. You can use a soft surface. They give you kind of styrofoam to work with, but
Okay.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I went to the store and I got this material that is for cushions.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Okay,
Which is
so
also a styrofoam.
yeah,
It's
that's
also,
right, but it's softer. So if
yeah.
the needles go in there, they're not going to break. So not an expert here. And then I covered this one with the two pieces of cloth. One is white, green, and beige, more or less, and the other one is black. So you can see it much better when you stab. So you can just move it from one side to the other. And if I'm working with something dark, I can use this side. If I'm working with white, I can use the other side. So I can know exactly what I'm stabbing on. And well, yeah, you have to be careful, very careful in the initial stages. I have seen a lot of people felting and they record videos 10 times faster than they actually do it. I'm very slow at the beginning. And you have to be sculpting, you have to be rotating this unless you want to create a pancake. The guards are going to help you, not stabbing yourself, of course.
So the needle is knitting these fibers together then?
Yeah, that's right. The movement, when you go in and out, they are entangled. And I'm trying to put these in a certain angle that you can see that every time I stab, this gets smaller. So that's another lesson. This could be really big right now, right in my hand, but maybe it will transform into something like this, very small, because it could be tight enough. It can be reduced probably a third or maybe half the size of what you initially start with. So you
But
can
the more you lance it with the needle, raises the density level for the sculpt, the project.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's important in the initial stages, especially with this fiber, to try and stab as deep as you can. If not, your core is going to be very soft.
I see.
Okay. So this is more or less what we do in the initial stage. And how do I attach the other one? Miriam is asking.
Yeah.
The same with needles. That's what you do. Everything is done with needles, which is amazing.
So I take it you're going to stitch along a seam then, like you're going to seam the base of the ear to the top of the head.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Oh, isn't that something?
Yeah, you attach the pieces. I mean, you separate the pieces, like in this case. And this little thing represents loose fibers. And these are the loose fibers that you're going to kind of pinpoint, if I can say it like that.
Yeah.
And you will attach them. So on purpose, I didn't finish this one before the stream, so I could show you how to add the colors. Because that's the idea. And well, it's very relaxing. I can tell you, it's very relaxing.
It's funny that you say it's very relaxing, and this is a person who was absolutely terrified of needles.
Exactly. It's contradictory, right?
Well,
I
think if anything, it shows people that how comforting it is, and how quickly you get away from any trepidation you might have about the needles.
Yeah, because it is getting out of your comfort zone if you're afraid of needles. Some people work without these. I cannot do that. If I do that, it's because I'm just going to do I'm going to attach something and I'm going to do this, slow motion, making sure I don't stop myself, and that's it.
I think the finger gloves are a great tool just to free you up from that concern in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. I just have to remember. Sometimes I use my middle finger to grab something, and then no, I have to take this one out. Use the other one. So I'm going to try and get more finger guards. Definitely.
Miriam says for me to relax, she needs a bigger needle and be able to poke people.
Imagine this is a person, Miriam. No problem. If Maxima stresses you out, there you have it.
There you go.
Sarcasm, of course. But anyway.
You're going to love it. Oh. Did we lose you? I think she's frozen up for a second. It's very compelling, a medium like this. It really is.
Oh,
It's the
lost
kind of,
my connection. Oh, I lost my
oh, you're
connection,
back.
but I came back. Yeah,
That's okay. You're
I'm
back.
back. Yeah, we have been having a lot of internet problems recently, but I'm back.
I'm glad you are. I was trying to talk for time for a second there, and just holding on until you came back to us. But
Yeah,
I was
well,
saying that.
I have two internet companies, so if I lose one, I hope the other one gets in.
Oh, is that
Compensate.
right? Good. That's good thinking.
Yeah, one doesn't have a lot of megas of upload, unfortunately, but the other one is the one that I rely on, and that's the one that has been having a lot of problems recently.
Oh no.
So the people are stealing the cables because of the copper, and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they it's not even allowed to be sold in the state. I mean, there's a very high penalty if they find them.
Yeah, but
But
there's still people that'll buy it everywhere you go. It's kind of silly.
yeah, they can just cross a line, go to another state, and people will buy it.
The funniest thing I've ever heard is that there's a very big club downtown London. It's not a dance club. It's a music shows, and they seat about 5,000 people. Well, what during a show one night, everything cut out. Like there was a big bang sound, and then everything cut out during the show. And it was because some people were up on their roof and they disconnected a power coupling to steal the copper
Oh my God.
live during a concert.
Well, those people don't care, you know. They say, I need this, and there you go. So,
Well,
well,
yeah, it's a crazy world.
it is. And here it's been happening quite frequently. So,
Oh, I,
and
I
we
think
are
it's
not so far away from civilization now. But anyway,
I think
okay.
it's pretty common everywhere at this point, unfortunately.
So, this
So
is for
you've
Miriam. She was asking about the colors.
excellent.
So, what I normally do is that I work this either with my hands or you can use pet brushes. Let me take them out. I use the pet brushes when I want to mix colors because it's much better. But Dollar Tree pet brushes,
Yes, yeah, indeed.
uh, you can get the fancy ones on Amazon, but ain't worth it. They do the same. So what you do is that you separate a bit of strands, and when you want to mix a color, this
Hmm.
rabbit is going to be like darker gray. So that's why I'm not mixing anything. You just comb this, and this mixes the colors eventually. So you pull them out, and you give it another go. It makes it soft. And that's what I did with the hamster because I didn't have exactly this color. So I
Okay.
mixed a little bit of beige and orange. And that's how I mix this one. And I use my brushes.
Miriam
So
uses the same
quite
tools to
nice.
do hair for her dolls.
Yeah, that's right. This was for my cat. I had to wash. I just had one. This was the one.
Yeah.
So my cats hate this brush. So I thought, well, let's just use it for something else.
Well, there you
And that
go.
was and that was the use. So these are nice and
Well, I
easy.
have I have a couple of these in the house for our cats, and I had never for a moment considered using them in this fashion. And it's funny because when I was in school, I was taught to do what you're doing now by because one of the classes I took was textiles, and the teacher taught us how to stitch wool together and to change colors, just like you're doing here. And then also in the same process is that when you take raw wool and you go through this process with it, you can refine the wool a little bit by
Okay.
working through its knottiness and impurity and thickness. So, but it's just so impressive to see you picked up two cat tools. You came up with something that You would always, most people would think you have the specific tools for this. And that,
Yeah, and that's
now
what
they
we were
are things
mentioning, no?
which,
Creativity. Creativity makes you find substitutes for things that you normally don't have.
yeah,
There is actually a saying here, and I don't know if I can find some examples, but it says that Mexico doesn't dominate the world because we don't want to, because we have all these ingenious ideas to solve problems that you see them on Instagram and you're like, really? You solved the problem. So
yeah. I think that you'll find that more prevalent in some societies than other, and also economics.
yeah,
Economics and the lack thereof of monies will make people come up with some rather, you know, different ideas to approach stuff. I have this cabinet that I built behind me that has all of my mark making tools and whatnot on it. It's built out of doors.
yeah,
Those are I took bedroom doors and I sawed them in half, and they're
okay.
the right denseness for a shelf. Just a bit
Yeah,
different
that's
idea,
right.
but it works so well.
And I think it's much better to be able to solve problems that way, because then you say, I made it with my own resources and I was able to solve the situation. But
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. Well, Miriam, this is still too soft. This is not necessarily ready. So this needs more stabbing. In order to be able to add some colors, it has to be a little bit thick. You can squeeze it, but it's not the same. Otherwise, the color is going to go right into. So that's one thing. So it needs to be a little bit sturdier. So what I did with the rabbit and the hamster is that after I finished the core is the one that is really, really sturdy inside. I added a small kind of layer, not very thick layer of this core wool
Hmm.
so I can stab the colors more easily. So it's not really like probably 2 millimeters, no, not thicker than that. But then you can do and have your colors like this. There's it's like a mix match already. And just put it in the area that you want to color and have it there firm. I'm going to use the middle size needle. Keep it there. Because yeah, some people go without the guards and they start.
I was gonna say, don't forget your finger guards.
Exactly. So not in my case. I'll always use my my finger guard. And then just little by little you start stabbing to add it. It takes time, of course. And I'm doing it very loosely right now because the finest needle that it's in a shape of a spiral
Yeah.
will be the one that will give me a better finish with less bigger holes. But
Oh,
I will
okay.
be able to do that as soon as I have all the body covered.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go little by little doing this, adding colors. Everything is my favorite part now because when you start checking how this it's coming to a shape and it's really looking like an animal, it's like, wow, I can really do this.
Well, I think that's very clearly uh, evident that you're very very good at this already. Are
Let me
you
see.
drawing the needle out the entire way and lancing it back in, pulling it out the entire way and lancing it back in?
Oh my
Or
God.
are
It's
you
not,
just vibrating it within the confines of it?
well, it has got a small, the tip is the one that has got the barbs or the
Okay.
blades. So it really doesn't have to come all the way out. So
Excellent.
at this stage, you just need to, it goes like 1 centimeter more or less
Yeah.
inside, and that's how you attach it. And you don't have to stress so much about it. I'm trying to do the close up that Miriam is asking, but I think, Miriam, that if you go and Google needle felting needles and you find the triangular, the spirals, they have close ups, they have photos, and you will be able to see them better. Definitely, because here on camera, my camera will not go all the way up to a close up. Yeah, and as close as I can, but it's blurry. But it's really nice. I mean, you can meditate with these,
I think
the same
so.
as with pointagism.
This is a dangerous thing too. I mean, if you've got, somebody is giving you a hard time in the course of your day, and you can go home and make a little figurine of them.
Oh
Step,
yeah,
step, 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 step.
exactly. Let me show you. Did you see the Jack skeleton that I made?
Oh, can you show those, please? This is wonderful.
I have this one. I was planning to sell this
Zero.
one, and
There's zero.
I'm going to put it like this. It's got
So
the
good.
dog,
Yeah.
the dog Zero, the pumpkin that he's kind of squishing. This one has got, oh, I forgot how to call them. I think they're called chenilles. These things that we use to, I don't know where I put them. They are not here on my desk. But they are these little things, these barb kind of things that we use to clean pipes or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Smoking pipes. I think they're called chenilles or something like that. So this one has got an armature of that, so it's movable.
Oh, wonderful.
You can make this one in the position that you want.
We call them pipe cleaners here. I
Ah,
have a
okay.
I have a
So
friend
I
of
think it's
mine
the same.
who weaves pipe cleaners together, and he can not only make little figurines that move, but he has also made um, in comic books. It's the superhero movies, and there's one called Hawkman,
Mm-hmm.
and he has this large feathered helmet that he wears on top of his head that looks like a hawk face, and with the feathers going up behind it. Looks like this. The helmet is the wings are off the side like so, and then it comes down into a point, and the wings attached like so, and then there's the eye pieces from a side view. And of course, there's two wings. He makes these for people to wear out of pipe cleaners.
Wow.
It's craziness. Yeah, he's made a Thor hammer, all kinds of business, but I really like that you can use something like that in order to give your characters form and function because now they can move.
Exactly. You can create
Oh, Miriam
puppets
does this
for
too.
slow motion shorts or something.
I use pipe cleaners for the skeleton of my dolls, like the old
So we use
Spanish.
the same, Miriam. Es lo mismo, Miriam. Son los limpiapipas.
I've
Well, we
got
call
something.
them that in Spanish.
I have something related and funny, but not quite the same. My grandkids, they collect the Disney Infinity figures, which are these little plastic figures that sit on a base, and the base sits on a platform, and that platform lets that figure play in the video game on television. We have an old video game system called Wii, and that's like 10 or 15 years old that our kids, played with, and now that's the only video games we have in our house for the grandkids. But
Okay.
um, there's characters in all the Star Wars figures that are missing,
Mm.
and it really annoyed one of my grandchildren. So we started making our own, just so that you could display them on the shelf. And so this is us doing the Emperor from Star Wars. But
Great.
he has a core of tinfoil and wire. in order to make his skeleton. And then a veneer of sculpting, sculpey it's called. It's like a Play-Doh type thing, and then you just make the thing, and then the kids paint it, and they've got the big bad guy of Star Wars, the Emperor, to go with their Star Wars figurines. But my grandkids make these things, and they make little tiny Pokemon, and they make all kinds of things with these, and they have a great deal of fun. But they have to have an underlying skeleton for those. So I think it's really interesting that you're able to do that with with wool, with a fabric.
Exactly. I think I remember I saw this technique first in 2015, 14, probably.
Okay.
I was taking an illustration course somewhere, and my instructor said, "Oh, I'm learning to do this," but I was like, "Oh, needles, no." So it was my immediate reaction, and I just forgot about it until this colleague at work mentioned, like, if you do pointages and you can do this. And I was like, okay, let me see, let me try. And you
Nice.
get addicted. Yeah, you get addicted. And
One of the
especially
things,
because when you have a goal, and my goal is the portraits,
yeah.
kind of realistic, that's when you start like working towards that and saying, okay, this is the first one. This one's going to be better. So
Excuse my coughing, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm almost through. Pneumonia, but I apologize for coughing during that visit.
we hardly ever hear police sirens here. Right now I'm hearing something.
Uh-oh,
So
what did you do?
I don't know. I didn't do anything. I'm just using my cat brushes for wool. That's not a sin.
I'm just making a bunny out of cat brushes,
Yeah, that's right. Make a bunny out of wool. And I have not stabbed anyone.
there
And I'm
you are.
not doing voodoo. So
No voodoo. Yeah,
yeah, no voodoo.
you can get a vaccination, Chris. Is that for me, Chris,
Oh,
or?
well, if it's same for
Oh,
me,
there you go.
I
Miriam's
I
advocating you
need
get
you.
all kinds of vaccinations now. She likes using the needles. She doesn't like getting stuck with needles.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
big difference. Let me just put them away. And I
I
didn't know that I didn't know chickens were a thing. But I also liked to crochet,
yeah.
and this was one of my first.
It's a conspiracy chick.
It's a conspiracy chick, and the mom, of course.
Ah, there you go.
He couldn't he couldn't go away without this one. Okay. Animal cruelty. Oh my god.
It's just fantastic. I like that you're branching out and trying different things. A friend of ours, my friend Tristan, who I've had on the stream here with me, she's incredibly proficient at textiles, and so she knits a great deal. And so I for the one Christmas I gave her this booklet, and it shows you how to make finger puppets of all these different kinds of characters.
Oh wow. That's
And
so cool.
I don't remember which one I gave her, if it was Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, but it was one or the other. Maybe I gave her both. I don't know. But so she starts making little puppet people. I have one that I keep in my studio on a regular basis of a sock monkey.
And she made it?
No, it's just one that we were out and about one day, and it was at a museum that had showed all kinds of crafts that local artisans made. I went, sock monkey, I'll buy this one. So there's streams where you'll see I'll have a sock monkey dancing around on the edge of my pencil.
Because I bought a couple of finger puppets somewhere downtown Mexico City.
Yeah,
Because my mom loved going downtown. I was always in the lookout for, burglars or something like that, because it's a dangerous thing if you don't know how to walk or where to go. But my
sure.
mom was always fascinated by going and walk the streets, etc. So I bought some, and I gave a couple to my niece. But let me see if I still have them here available. I have some left.
I'm desperately trying to think of where I put mine.
I got a lot, and I only have two left. But you're going to like this one. They are, of course, for kids. I cannot even put my fingers inside. But we have a conspiracy cow. I know I didn't make these ones, okay? And
No,
look
I
at
think
this one. Look at this one.
I bet you can figure out how. Here's my monkey. Hey, how you doing? Who likes potato salad?
I have Spidey.
That's a good one. See, so I'll put it on the end of my pencil, and there's streams where I'm drawing with this sock monkey wiggling around, and one of the people following the stream said, "Can you get that off your pencil? Because it's really distracting."
Oh, but why? They're so cute.
The
I
sock
mean, I,
monkey.
I love them. I love them. And I gave a couple to my niece. And I think the other ones were for a cousin. I don't remember, but they were like uh, less than 50 cents, talking
Yeah.
about American dollars. So they were just very, very cheap. So yeah, but yeah, this is crochet, yeah, but it requires a very, very fine hook, and in my case, a magnifying glass, because my eyesight is not as good as it used to be.
Oh, sure. So
Yeah.
I think that's the case for all of us. I have to wear bifocals all the time.
I think I'm going to need a new pair of glasses this December and I think it needs to be multifocal, not just bifocal, because now I need
Well,
something for the distance, mid-range, and kind of close up.
I say bifocal, but what mine are is called transitions. So it is technically like a field of focus.
Oh,
So
I need one of those.
I guess I'm already at that point now. So like if I look, you know, if I look down with the glasses, then I can see far away. If I turn them this way, I can see up close. So it's all about where my eyes look through it. But then
Yeah,
I
I
have,
know.
I don't know, I have a different couple of different pairs of glasses for, like I have, the transitional lenses in my sunglasses, and I have specific glasses for driving with that are just primarily for farsighted. But
Yeah,
that's the least of my challenges driving. I'm because I'm 5'18", I have to duck to look under um, the top of the window in my van to see, like if I'm pulled right up to the light, I
hmm
have to lean forward and look up to see what color the light is when it changes.
yeah. I really need to change mine because they are already scratched, so it's a problem. Oh, let me show you this one.
Oh, that is fantastic.
That that was one of my first doggies. I sold some of these back in 2017, 2018, before
I'm
moving.
surprised.
And this is a monster that I kept as well.
Nice. That's fun.
And during the pandemic, well, I was giving online classes, but anyway, I was still bored here inside. So I
Sure.
said, okay, let's
Oh, that's
make
great.
a coronavirus. So just to mock a little bit of the situation, to have a little bit of humor.
Oh, why
And
not?
then this is, I had another one, but I couldn't find it. But you're going to recognize this guy.
Oh, there you go. What's that? What's that?
It's
Grow.
Grogu, or I know him as Baby Yoda, but
Yeah,
anyway.
I
So
still think of it as Baby Yoda too. That's why I have to remember the name.
yeah, and he's got a carrier, so I even carry him out. So yeah,
I like that. If
crazy.
anybody asks me, do you know where? Have you ever seen coronavirus? I'll say, yeah, I saw it on my stream. Chris has it.
Yeah, exactly. This one, I carried this one attached to my purse. So I had a big purse. So whenever I was shopping, this guy was hanging
So
around. So
if anybody got too close to your person, you could say, "Hey, pal, back off.
yeah,
I got a virus here."
exactly. Remember, there's a virus out there. So anyway, but
Where'd you,
it was fun.
where did, what's the origin of coronavirus? Well, of course, Kilue made it.
I'm going to be blamed for the pandemic. But well, who knows? Let me show you something else because this is a
Please.
conversation that happened like a couple of weeks ago
Yeah,
when the hurricane hit the coast of Mexico.
yeah.
I was very, very happy that my online friends are worried about me. They say, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Were you in like in the path of the
Hey,
hurricane?"
you're a good person. Why wouldn't people be concerned?
Yeah, that's right. And I told them, it's really far away.
Okay.
Acapulco is really far away from where I am, luckily, and I'm in between two or three very big mountain ranges.
Yeah.
So, well, this is going to be in Spanish, but you'll be able to more or less get it. Mexico is the 17th biggest country in the world.
Yeah.
So here you can get
Oh,
an
there you
idea of
go.
how big it is. Here you have, for example, the peninsula. This is the main body of Mexico.
Yeah.
And here you have, for example, Portugal, Slovakia, Austria, Switzerland, Germany. Germany is not even half the size of Mexico, not even the United Kingdom. Ireland is here. Luxembourg is just like a small little city, probably.
Yeah.
So I am located. I'm going to use one of the needles. I am located right here.
Right in the middle of Montenegro? Oh no, I guess that's Bosnia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm here. I'm kind of here where this Bosnia and Herzegovina kind of finish here. This is where Querétaro is, and Acapulco is down here.
Oh, you're off camera. There you go.
There we go. So I'm here. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm here, more or
Yeah.
less, and Acapulco is somewhere here.
All the way down there. Okay.
It
And
is like
Mexico City?
700 kilometers away from me.
And Mexico City is?
Mexico City. Let me show you. Mexico City is not that far away from me. Mexico City is right here where the United Kingdom and Bosnia touch. This is Mexico City.
It's
This is where
funny.
it
I don't think a lot of people realize that the majority of people live within that central section you just showed.
is.
In Mexico, your population is so different
Yeah.
in how it's dispersed amongst your country because
Yeah.
there's
And
lots
it's
of
it's
that are
really
smart.
pretty. It's
Okay, well,
really
I have a fun one to show you. I'm not going to compare it against other countries, but this is Canada. Let's see if I'll make it a little bit bigger. So Canada is the second largest country in the world.
yeah.
Pardon me. And uh, in so this is the North Pole right here.
Mm-hmm.
Canada goes all the way up to the North Pole, and it's on both oceans. Both of the largest oceans are on either side of Canada. This part, Yukon, there's a piece of land here that is American that they bought from the Russians. And this strange flat division is us, and then along the lakes is where the Americans hide out down there, down below us. And this entire massive span of space, um, and I think that total land population, I think for Mexico would fit roughly in Quebec, in this pink province here.
Okay.
But in this entire big gigantic thing, I am there.
Okay. So you're more going into the east than the west.
Yeah, yeah. So New York is this way,
Okay.
and oh, I'm sorry. Detroit is here, and Michigan runs up along here, and then you can get to, that ways to Arizona. This, down this way to Florida. This way over here is Buffalo and New York, and all of the Pennsylvania and all those places can be reached through here. It takes from here to get to here, it takes 8 hours.
Wow.
Canada is massive. But
Definitely it is. It is. Until you mentioned that. Names taken. I'm trying to give you like something
how many
in
football
miles.
fields?
Like, for example, from where I am to where the hurricane hit is like a 900 miles, probably 1,000 miles, more or less. So it's really far away. It's really, really far away. And let me just tell you, yeah, we do have cold weather, and yeah, sometimes we get a little bit of the outer bands of the hurricane, but not as bad as the people who are there. Because let me see if I can find a pencil or something, because I'm afraid of holding the needle to point out. It's not my comfort zone to use needles to point out things. Definitely.
Are the conductors slow,
I
Miriam?
found, I found something here. Okay, so this area, all the way down, up, you have a big range of mountains that is called
Yeah.
Sierra Madre. And there is another one on the other side. And we have another one here in the middle. So Mexico City and central Mexico is kind of protected by these high mountain ranges. So when the hurricanes hit, they're totally like, what can you say, destroyed by the height of the mountains.
Yeah.
Though the towns here are very affected, but here in central Mexico, we are not. It's a very nice temperature as well.
That's very reassuring. In Canada, there's, let's see if I can do this. This is the northernmost point of the Appalachian Mountains that run through the United States, from
Okay.
Florida all the way up to the top. That's the very last bit of it right here. And there's on the opposite side of the country, over here in British Columbia, between Alberta and the outskirts of the province, this is entirely mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Massive, massive mountains, and then ocean immediately. Like they go right up to the ocean. But
Wow.
from here to here is all flat plains,
Mm-hmm.
completely flat. And it's because when the glaciers that covered this much of the North American continent, they covered the majority of Canada. And so as the glaciers receded, they dragged all of the plains clear of rocks. They just scraped it all back. And in Canada, this entire part here is what's called the Canadian Shield. And it runs into the United States as well. But it's still called the Canadian Shield because it's mostly here. But, to get from where I am, this is our capital right here, Toronto. Or
Mm-hmm.
this is of our province, and this is the capital of the country, Ottawa. And where I am is right here. To get from right here to Toronto is 2 hours by car, driving at 110 kilometers an hour, 120 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
So
It's more or less the same time and speed that it will take me to get to Mexico City. That is a little bit south from me.
nice.
It's Mexico City is 200 kilometers away from me.
Yeah, it's about the same. I think it's roughly the same. London is a small city by comparison to Mexico and larger metropolitan cities, it's very small. London only has 425,000 people.
Oh yeah, it is small.
But I remember when London had 160,000 people.
Oh my.
The city is growing quite a bit, and I've been around here for a little while, so I'm about to turn 39 again.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
been,
it's going
I've
to be for me 5 years since I moved out Mexico City,
Do
and
you
it
like it?
was the best decision ever.
Oh, there you go. I wouldn't want to live in a larger place. I just wouldn't. Ontario and Quebec is slightly bigger than Mexico. Is that all of Ontario, or is it Ontario divided? Is it southwestern or all of Ontario? I thought it was smaller.
Mm, okay.
And where Miriam lives is 20 feet across.
Okay.
So, do you find, because we live in an age now, here's some random questions. Surprise. Um, because we live in a completely new age in the world today, where there is so much globalization. Talking about the fact that you and I are having a conversation, and we live on opposite sides of the United States.
Yeah. Amazing.
But in this age that we live in of a global community, do you find that there is any part of traditions and crafts and certain specific things that you find that maybe people are doing less? Like there are certain weird traditions that we have in Canada, like, okay, so we get snow. We get a lot of snow up here. And with getting a
Mhm.
lot of snow up here, one of the things that we'll do is that um, we'll take the sugar, the sap out of maple trees, we'll collect it, we'll boil it, and until it starts reducing into a sugar. This is how we make maple syrup. And there's a tradition in Canada that goes back for, we used to do this when I was a kid, and nobody does this anymore for the most part because, it's a different world now. But you used to take maple syrup and pour it in the snow outside, and you'd eat the snow.
Oh, okay. Never heard that before.
Such a random thing. Um, but it's something that we would do on a regular basis when I was a kid growing up. And I think it's one of those things that it's not so commonly done anymore. Names Taken says that New Hampshire did maple syrup. Well, yeah, of
It's a
course, New
reverse.
Hampshire existed before Canada did. I think we just celebrated our 150th anniversary as a country. Canada's
Great.
very young. It's too cool
Well,
for a lot of people, but
yeah. I'm trying to think what people in Mexico don't do anymore. But
like, is there certain specific crafts? And Names Taken says, I don't know if I trust what's in the snow anymore. Yeah, that's the point. I think that's why we don't do it anymore.
yeah, I think that's a point. Yeah.
um, well, so what I mean by that, with certain celebrations, um, like Cinco de Mayo, and you've got the Day of the Dead, and all kinds of different cultural moments that you'll have a great deal of items that you're putting together. You're fabricating certain things for traditions with floats and parades and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That do you is there any concern as an artisan, as a creative person like yourself, that you can see some of these things diminishing, or that do you think that those traditions are holding up? Like Punchinello plays used to be incredibly common in Europe, most specifically, you know, um, the Italianate nations, right? There was a great deal of Punchinello shows in a lot of the Mediterranean countries, specifically Italy, of course. But and Punchinello shows aren't as common as they once were. People would make little puppets, and they would have this specific kind of a play, and it was a play, a morality play, but
Mm,
they used to be as common as the street corner.
okay.
You
Let me
know,
think, because I think I have an example. Let me just go and get them. I think that we are losing a lot of traditional toys.
yeah,
And let me get my bag. Mm, Recently, I have been able to visit a place that is going to be a development, houses, etc. So I was able to buy something there.
okay.
And they gave me a very nice bag with traditional Mexican toys.
Oh, great.
And this is something that probably you have seen, that is the typical market bag that the
Yeah,
ladies used to have. And it's filled with toys that kids don't play with anymore. So we have, and I have not opened some of them because I want my niece to play with those.
of course. Yeah.
Um, this is this is all made of wood. Let me see if I can open this up. And these were very, very
Oh,
typical.
tops. I love that. I had one of these when I was a kid.
And I cannot open it because it has got a staple there that is particularly stubborn to get rid of. So this was very fun because just grab these and put the string around it and throw it, and it will spin like crazy, and it was so fun. So this one is cool. You have the yo-yo.
Yeah.
This one goes up and
I have
down.
never in my life been able to do a yo-yo.
My sister was very good at this, so I think that she will enjoy this. I have this one that we used to play with, kind of tokens.
Yep.
So you have the tokens and you spin it and kind of you bet. I have this one as well that is also very, very cool. That uh, this one takes a lot of skill. I was never able to do this ever. You have to attach the string here, and then you just have to throw this until
Yeah.
it gets
Oh yeah, those are tough.
Those are very, very tough. And Miriam is going to accuse me of animal cruelty now. Sorry, Miriam. But this was just so fun. The moment I arrived home with this bag, I saw
Well, look.
this typical tambourine
Yeah, we
made
have that.
of
We
deer
so
skin. And guess who was my victim? Nico, because
yeah. So a number of those
so
items that
scared.
you have there, we had here,
Sorry, sorry.
right? A number of the items that you have there,
Hmm.
we had here in our Aboriginal communities. Had used those for years, and these are toys that were here for early settlers in Canada, because a lot
Yeah,
of them came from the native community.
but these are things the kids don't know anymore to play with. Or marbles, for example.
Yeah.
I I collect marbles because I like. Let me just take them out and see where I have them. Mm, Well, I like the crystal kind of thing of marbles, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And these big ones, in Spanish we call them ponchos. They're the big ones.
In English, we call them Crocs.
Okay.
Such a
And
dumb.
you used to have your set of marbles and get kind of a ring or something and play, like sending them like with your thumb and try to hit as many as you could. And those were your marbles now.
Oh yeah.
So those are games that kids right now don't play, and they have no idea they exist.
Well, I put
So
something. I
that's
put
that.
them. I put something up that Name's Taken said, and that's that Canada, U.S., and Mexico is a shared culture. Yes, but I think that we were shared cultures before the current culture, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
so many of these things that you're showing, we have variations on those here in Canada. Um, that they go, all of these things go back to the Aboriginal communities,
Yeah, that's right.
and the spinning tops and like the spinning top. There's a game in that was very popular in Canada and in Europe, and I'm sure in the States too, where you would have a large wooden frame, and there would be entranceways like doorways on the sides of the wooden frame. And then there would be a whole slew of metal pegs, okay, posted in it,
Mm-hmm.
and there'd be a couple little a board across here that has doorways cut through it. And you'd take the top, you'd spin it, and the top would land in the confines of this thing. And as it touches each of these metal pegs, or wooden pegs, right? You lift them out. You take them out and put them on your side. Those are points. And so
Yeah,
the
that's
next
right.
person spins the top and tries to get as many points, that they pull out and add up all the ones that the top is touched. And this was a hugely popular game. And, you know, I've never seen a working one. I've seen one working one, but I haven't seen a working one in I don't know how many years. It's such a sadness that something that cool is lost. It looks like, do you know the film The Labyrinth?
The one with David Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this table setup looks like a map from The Labyrinth with little pigs stuck all over it, and you spin a top into it and try to hit as many pigs as you can. It's just one of those things that it's almost gone now. You'll see them in old estate houses from 1900 or the like. But a lot of these traditional crafts and a lot of these hand fabricating techniques, you know, um, with the advent of new technologies, you're going to automatically have things that are going to disappear. It's completely natural. But at the same time, we don't want to lose everything, of course.
Yeah, no, it's as you said, it's tradition. It's something that gives you identity in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a cultural signifier for your sense of locality in relationship to your past, who you are, where you come from, who you've met. Um, Marbles in, they call Bolognas
Okay.
as marbles. Um, the Squid Game, yeah, that was a fun scene. That was a fun setup there. They're in Argentina. There you go.
Yeah, that's
That was
right.
taken says
I
Argentina's
mean,
number one.
the collection of toys. I like collecting things, and I'm attracted to Mexican toys, and I like them.
Excuse me.
Thinking it's back. It was. I was really happy. I was really happy. And I also have this one that
Oh, yeah,
it's one of these. I don't know if you have seen this game,
yeah, we have that here.
and it's really cool. Like one of the tables slides down, and it's quite fun. And this is something that I got. It doesn't have eyes anymore. Sorry, but it was not my fault. It was one of the cats. But this dog, this mice was made of rabbit fur
Yeah,
by a local artisan in outside a market, outside a Walmart. And this one has been with me like I can say probably 30 years.
wonderful.
So luckily it still has tail. But yeah, my cats love to hunt this one, so I have to hide it.
Do you want to see something very funny considering what you're doing? This is
Yes.
Corbin's toy.
Oh wow.
It's what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
just,
yes, that's
it
right.
is. It's what you're doing. It's just got a little ear somehow sewn into it and a little tail sewn onto it. But it's, other than that, it's what you're doing. I just realized that. He's going to get mad at me for messing around with this toy, but um, he left this on my desk. He does that. He hops up on my desk and puts this there and meows at me and leaves. So I guess it's my turn to babysit. But yeah, it's important, I think, to pass on crafts like you've shown us today. I think it's an important thing that we advocate for the continuance of
Hmm.
traditional, you know, crafts and techniques and things where we're passing on to others this knowledge that will be lost if we don't keep it engaged. You know,
Exactly.
there was a really fun game in the Victorian era, and this is going to sound a little bit mental, but all it is a hoop, like a hoop from um, like a wheel for what's a wooden, you you hitch your horses up to it. What is that? Wagon.
Oh,
A
okay.
wagon at the rim from a wagon wheel. Well, before that, they would take reeds and they would wind them together and make a hoop out of those. And then they'd take a stick, and it was a fun game for children to see how far across the field they could run, keeping the wheel upright.
I think I have seen that in movies,
Yeah,
these
you know,
these theme movies or something like that. But yeah, there are a lot of things that right now kids are missing because they just want to be in their phones. And do you remember the scenes that I normally ask my groups to create?
yeah,
I showed them to one of my coordinators, and she's a psychologist. And she was able to tell me which kids didn't have a good development in elementary school or secondary school because of the way they drew or organized the scene.
yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, what? How can you see that?
Oh, that's no, I see that. When I have a bunch, because once you have an understanding of how a friend of mine's a clinical psychologist and he works with children, and we've talked a fair amount about processes of exploration that people will do visually and through story. And one of the things that he can see of identifiers of how people assert their understanding of domesticity, like they understand family, how they understand, good and bad behaviors and morals. They'll exhibit all of those things in their stories immediately. That's the surface level stuff. But below the surface, there's little psychological things like faces that look out at the viewer, as
Hmm.
opposed to faces that we draw that are looking at each other.
Wow,
Change
very interesting.
tells you something about the psychology of connection that people have when they're writing and drawing. And when you have, or even worse, there's a third identifier about isolation, character alone in panels, and no characters or two characters in a panel together, or no characters look at each other. There's so many psychological identifiers that people don't realize they're doing in story.
Oh, that sounds so interesting.
It's a lot of interesting stuff. Pardon me.
I was very, very shocked when she told me that she could kind of read a little bit of how my students were because of the drawings. And I was like, wow, I was really, really surprised.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, but it's a real thing. Like there's so much that uh, a child psychologist can glean from their patients, these young people they're trying to help, just by getting them to sit down and draw.
Hmm.
And maybe not with any specificity. They might not tell the kids, can you draw a picture of, I don't know, why don't you draw a picture of your family? They might not even start with that. They'll just say, here's some crayons and paper if you'd like to draw. Here's a fun psychological fact. The majority of people, that if you're sitting in a space where you're just open conversation and just trying to converse with somebody, and you leave paper and a mark making tool in front of them, right?
Yeah.
Depending on whether or not you give them license to use it is the first thing. But by having the paper and mark making tools, pencils, crayons, whatever, on the surface there nearby the paper, a good percentage of people will want to pick that pencil up and just start scribbling.
Okay.
But if you say to them, hey, I got this here, if you feel like, doodling or whatever, some people just like to doodle or write notes about stuff, that's fine, go ahead. Then the number goes up, because now they don't have to ask if they can mess with this. And they'll just, many people will just automatically start doing it. I'm one of those people. If I find pencil and paper kicking around me at any time, even in conversation, if there's Post-it notes and a pen in my pocket, I'll grab a Post-it note and make a try to illustrate my thought. Like there's no filter in me at all. Like I immediately gravitate to it. Miriam says, today I made my pupils work with prompts. Oh, you monster.
Very interesting. I found that difficult when I was streaming with Miriam. When we did that exercise, Miriam, I found it difficult. I said like, oh, this is the first time I'm playing with prompts, and I was really nervous about it.
How
So I think I need to do that more often.
Yeah, but I'm surprised by that, honestly. Is it because you're so immediate about creating images and telling a story through a static image? You're so immediate about fabricating a figurine with your hands here. It's the thing about prompts. Is it actually? It's almost like someone saying to you, Chris, make a rabbit out of the wool, right? Oh, okay, I'll make a rabbit out of the wool. And the subjectivity of the prompts is like, can you make a rabbit wearing a straw hat and he's got a piece of, wheat hanging out of his mouth? Okay, so the prompts have now. What's that?
Let me tell you why I find it difficult. Because it's the uncertainty of what you're going to get. And that particularly makes me nervous.
Is that right?
Because I will not have control of what's coming out from when I flip or when I take out the prompt. While this is a conscious decision. Maybe, yeah, somebody told me, okay, make a rabbit. But then in my mind's eye, I'm already kind of shaping it, coloring it, making decisions. So I think that I do have a problem with control, and I like to control things a lot. And yeah, my friends psychologists have told me you have to let it go. You cannot control everything.
It's
But
an
it's so
interesting
difficult.
thing. Here you are, an educator who is constantly giving assignments, and yet when you were a student, did you not like assignments?
Of course, I didn't. I hated them. And especially if you gave me math assignments, I just hate them so much.
It's
Because you
fun.
don't have control on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way I look at the one word or a couple of sentences. Today's suggestion is a fox. I can't read that at all. A fox, something head fox walks through a forest, finding a guitar playing woman, which she lets sit beside her as she sings a song. I think it is. Does she have a song? No. Plays a song. It's plays. That's a P. A fox walks through a forest, finding a guitar playing woman, which she lets sit beside her as she plays a song. It's a nice, simple narrative suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have to draw the fox and introduce our fox walking up to this woman and sitting beside her. And there's really, as far as story goes, now I could try to narrate this, but this is such a lovely thing that I'm going to draw. Here's the fox. I'm going to have music cascading behind the fox, and then the next panel is the fox, stepping down from a tree trunk and moving towards a lady who is sitting right here on a fallen tree playing her guitar. And then this panel is the fox sits beside her as the lady's playing, and the last panel I'll have the fox going to sleep. I don't need words for this story.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind's eye, as soon as I have just a suggestion like this, fox walks through forest playing, finds a guitar playing lady, da 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 da. There's no, because at this point, this is my 319th, I think, or 16th, maybe 316th page since the start of the year doing this. And so at this point, my brain is so automatic. I don't think about it anymore.
Which is awesome.
I just start working. And, but it's like, some of your routines and your practices, like what you're making with the bunny here. This is just you're just doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes this part of process. But when we first approach anything, like, working from prompts or working from anything else, a lot of people will immediately look at it in its confinement, as opposed to looking at the confinement's a liberation, because you don't have to think about, all of the other things. They can just play out along the way. Like, what if I decided to draw the fox with the bubble around its head and a little collar, and well, now that's a fox in outer space, and it's a forest on the moon. Like there's no confinement to my imagination outside of these key points that are in the suggestion. The rest of it, completely unfiltered. I think that's why my pages are so weird, but it's I try to look at it as liberation. Miriam says, today we talked about schedule versus freedom, and scheduled or predetermined things can bring you learning. Yeah, I would agree with that too, that scheduled and predetermined things. I think routine and discipline of applying oneself to an objective is how my brain looks at it. I don't like, I'm like Chris, like you, I don't like assignments. I really just, I really, and maybe this is the controlling maniac part of me, that I don't draw stories for other people. All those stories that I, do from these suggestions, I'm doing them for me.
Exactly. And that's a big difference.
Yeah. And I think that if we can just advocate for children to hold on to that, because we beat it out of them by the time they're adults, we've chased it right out of them to allow them to look at any objectives as play.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that I had to change in the last years that I've been teaching. I have had to change my classes to be 20 minutes, grammar, vocabulary, structure, whatever is the main core that I want them to get. But I know that they are not paying attention, that they are probably looking at their computers or something. But I know they are listening.
Yeah.
And how do I know? Because later I can use one of these sites, and I'm going to show you one that is my favorite.
Sure.
I can use one of these sites where I can create or borrow games that other teachers have done. And this site, it's called Look It. And this is the the main page.
Yeah.
And this is just, I can remember my account name. Yeah. This is something that I have for the students. And for example, here you have irregular verbs.
Right.
And these are games. These are
Wonderful.
games that I play with my students. And I'm going to try and show you one. And for example, you have gold quest where they can rob each other and they like robbing each other gold. Hackers, they go fishing, they chase monsters, and it's just so fun. It's really, really fun. And when you choose one of the games, let me just reduce this to 1 minute or something. The students just enter by scanning the QR code, and it's going to be me playing only.
Yeah.
But if you want to join, you can like
Oh,
put
I,
and
I'm,
code.
I don't think it'll pick up. I'm,
Yeah, I think that it will be
no.
difficult. Yeah, let me eliminate the saving the battery that I have here because it closes fast.
Oh,
So they enter the nickname, whatever they want, and they choose an avatar. And let me go back to the Bluecat page. And you can see I don't have volume here, but I'm going to put the two of them. This is what my students will see on the screen, and this is the exercise that they will do. Okay, so they choose, they tell them if this is correct or not. They save gold, and they are just they learn more with these little things that I cannot have a class without any of these games right now.
name's taken is trying to join.
So
Name's taken is
imagine,
trying to join with you.
yes.
They're trying. I don't know if they're. It doesn't have.
Well, this is, you can go to the site called Bluecat
Look
Play
at.
and
So I did a lecture on the 12th, and when I did this lecture, I was talking about storytelling and how to quickly find your way into a story and to see what you can come up with.
mhm.
And I showed how to break down and lay out a page, and I did in camera 45 minutes. I did a an example of how to make a comic page. And then I spent the next hour in an open discourse with everybody that was there, and unfortunately that wasn't in video. But the way I do it was the same way that I do it when I go to classes and I teach in class, and that is where I'll engage the students by saying, I look for those kids that might not immediately feel that they can respond with ideas or engage with ideas.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I'll do is I'll say, okay, so we need a character. And I know you, because you know this, Chris and Miriam, anybody that is taught, you know which kids are trying not to be asked any questions.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know which ones don't want to do some. So immediately, those are the ones you find, right? And I'll say, okay,
Mhm.
what's our character? And on um, last Sunday, I mean, immediately a young person says a jelly bean. And then another person says in the back of a car. Oh, okay. So we've already, in a hot, sweaty, sticky car. Oh, okay. So all these different pieces of information are being thrown at me, and I'm trying to incorporate them in the story. Oh, hi, Dan. Welcome aboard. And Miriam says, we need to understand things. That's entirely, yes. Yeah, as creatures, we do. and that the new generation uses their brains different. That's only because we're letting them. It's going to change again. It's I'll tell you why in a second. Anyways, so the reason that I do that is that it immediately engages people in the process, the act of what I'm doing, and it examples to them. Here's this. Let's just do it. It's an automatic thing. But the encouragement, and I'll draw really loosely, and I do it on purpose. I draw really loosely because if I draw it, where I'm starting to make a definable image like so, somebody in that room is going to look at that and go, I can't draw it like that, therefore I'm not going to do it. So I purposely will draw it really simplified. But what I'm trying to do is actualize not just by exampling, but actualize by the interaction and the engagement, and hopefully encouraging. If I can, it's just it's. I'm sure you feel the same. If you can just get a couple of those kids to take that home with them beyond just the assignment, if you can get a couple of them and go, oh, this is a thing I could do, then you won, But I did the same thing with adults on Sunday. I've done the same thing, at the university here in the city. I've gone and talked to business students and entire class of young adults that say, "Oh, I can't draw anything." An entire class of people that say that. It's incredibly ridiculous. Miriam said that new generation uses their brains different, and I think it's because that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Miriam. I wish I could have had more facility to have the people that were watching online to be part of it. The new generation uses their brain different, and Dan says they'll be ruled with a giant thumb by a giant thumb. Right now, we have made a massive mistake in North American, Canada, the United States, Mexico. There's been so many little things that we've done to take kids away from the basis of learning, and the more economically enabled this gets worse. The more simpler communities without all the economics for all of the toys and devices, this isn't as bad. But the more accommodation for doodads, phones, tablets, laptops, all of the bells and whistles, the distractors, the more that the kids have those, the less that we're allowing those kids to see the world as the world is, the less that we're allowed for them to have imaginations and discernible thoughts.
Exactly.
And I
My
think
kids don't bring notebooks anymore. I have to ask them one day before, bring a notebook.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me that. And we don't allow, it's terribly hypocritical because I'm sitting in front of monitors, but we don't allow our grandkids to have cell phones or any other doodads when they're over at Grandpa and Grandma's for the weekend. That stuff comes in the Grandpa's studio and it'll stay on a shelf until you're going home.
Oh,
and
well,
the
that's
reason,
good.
and we play with them outside, and we have ungainly amounts of toys and things like that left over from all our kids growing up and other things that we bought them. And we have all kinds of puzzles and and little balls that have a marble in it and a whole bunch of things you have to make the marble move through in the maze and this ball and we have a number of those and little traditional wood block pieces that you can build a cube out of and stuff like that. We have that all over our house. Well, actually, we have it all pretty much put into the grandkids' rooms, but now the reason we do all that is that we're trying to keep from these kids using their brains differently. And in the course of action, we're actually making our grandkids' brains work differently of a lot of the other kids that they go to school with.
Yeah, that's right.
you know.
And they will memorize. Well, they'll get memories better. They will memories of you playing with them, something that cannot happen with a game, virtual game that can be played anywhere with the laptop or the iPad or the tablet, whatever they
Yeah,
have.
yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy. The statistical data that the kids can hold on to about Pokemon is not entirely different from in the 70s when we would remember the names of dinosaurs and the differences of dinosaurs. It's the same thing. It's just Pokemon now as opposed to dinosaurs. Now it's a completely contrived and artificial thing as opposed to something trying to actually understand the historical, real, but it's still an abstract because dinosaurs haven't existed for a great deal of time. But that's what Pokemon are. So dinosaurs. So when it comes to like playing with your Pokemon cards, because our grandkids don't play the card game part of it, they just like to look at the statistics and the names and the interaction abilities that they have with one another. And they remember all that stuff.
Hmm.
I am fully fine with Pokemon cards in our house because that's one of the key things that these kids are losing with devices is that they don't have any memory.
Yeah.
Nobody can remember phone numbers. Nobody can remember, if you need to find out something, look it up. There it is. No retention.
Exactly.
Right? So we have phone books in our house. Phone books have pretty much been outmoded in southwestern Ontario for 10 years. There's been no printed phone books here. And we went out of our way to get phone books.
Yeah. Here,
And
here when I arrived here, we didn't have a phone company, and now that it's finally coming in and installing the fiber and the technology and everything, the cables. I asked them if they have the phone books and say, no, we're not printing them anymore. People don't need them anymore.
Miriam says, for someone who doesn't want establishing things, your movements are very repetitive today. What do you mean? Grandkid,
If
age
she talks
5 to
about
2.
this, then yes, it's
Oh, that's
something that is very repetitive.
what is? I'm sorry, my brain went mush there.
It's probably the needle felting. Now I'm using the thinnest needle to produce a very smooth surface on top of the coat. We can say that I added the coat of wool. So yeah, right now what I'm doing is very repetitive
The
because I'm
needle.
trying to leave as smallest holes that I can.
That's fantastic. I think that they don't want to work on established things. I think that she doesn't like being told assignments.
Yeah, probably. But
um,
even though it's repetitive, I'm still making decisions. I mean, I know that I'm doing this movement that is there, constant, right? But I'm still thinking about this. I have to go to the other side, smooth this, and then I have to go and make the holes for the eyes and sculpt
that's
the
that's
face.
that's no different than this, and then I go this, and then I'll do this, and then this. That's the
Hmm.
same thing. It's just a part of the process. But you're right. It is. When you think about it, is a lot of the recurring. I'm sure that there are people that do that that do this needle. What's it called again? I'm sorry.
Needle felting,
Needle felting.
like
Thank you.
felt, Felt.
I'm sure
I
that there are
needle.
people that are doing it for a great deal of years that have braces on their wrists.
Probably.
Yeah.
There are people that you can find on Instagram or YouTube that just make these fantastic things. As I said, I'm just starting. So my aim is cute little things right now, and then maybe I can move into something more realistic.
Yeah, I think you're meeting
But
your objectives already. So
yeah,
Dan
it's a
says, imagine if kids use Pokemon cards for science, math, and engineering. With this, so my argument has always been that the reason I have no problem with Pokemon cards is that, or things like that, is that they're so subversive. The kids are actually learning math and how the engagement and the damage between one thing to another thing, or the healing of one thing to another thing, or you have this many points for this thing to be brought out, or you need this much energy for it to do this thing. All of that is calculatory math that I don't think that if you gave it to them as an assignment, they wouldn't do it. If you walked them through it with Pokemon cards, they wouldn't even know that they're learning math. I love things like that. It's so subversive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another thing that is immeasurable for instituting, like one of the greatest toys ever invented is Lego.
Yeah.
The only reason that Lego wins out over wooden blocks is because wooden blocks, you either have to make them in shapes that interlock, or there's an impermanence to them where you have to bond them together. But with Lego, because you squeeze them together and they hold together, there's a sense of permanence to that kids can build objects from their imagination that retain shape. That is the craziest toy ever made.
Yeah. And I
Because
like them. I don't have a
it
lot of
gives,
Legos, but I do have some.
yeah, it gives you know, we've got a couple of, well, we've got a lot of Lego in our house. Let's put it this way, from all of the kids growing up, and it's been left here, and so the grandkids have inherited a great deal of Lego, and they just make the craziest, weirdest things I've ever seen. Like, there's a thing where Liliana will make. They start by taking a flat or a basic surface, and they'll build walls around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a doorway left through or whatever it is, and they'll fill it with little fancier pieces. That's a bed. Looks nothing like a bed. That's the kitchen. It's a bucket. It's like a weird little bucket shape. But what that's doing inside their head is just firing neurons like crazy.
Exactly. I think that that's one of the things that these creative toys make out of not only kids, but people in general.
Yeah.
Uh, I like playing with my niece because actually her birthday is today.
Oh,
So
great.
her name
My
is Jimena.
my son
So
Josh
she's
tomorrow.
she's 11 years today. And very soon, unfortunately, very soon, she's going to become an adolescent, and I won't have so many playtime with her. I know because, well, it's natural, of course.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
has to socialize and she has to grow and hate adults, including me. So anyway, but I hope to see her next month. I hope to see her.
Great.
They normally come and visit, and we color together. We draw. She likes manga style and Japanese anime, so she wants me to teach her how to do that. She has seen
Wonderful.
this, and she wants me to teach her. So
Yeah.
I'm going to use those opportunities
Oh, yeah.
to bond with her, and maybe she won't hate me that much when she becomes an adolescent, a
Well,
full-time
this
adolescent.
this stuff that I showed you, that you can use these pieces of material and make
Uh-huh.
these little figurines and the like with. Um, this is there's a tub of this tools and little pieces that she's building that I just, Lily, here you go. I put it in front of her, and she's
Mhm.
engaged for X amount of time. Or we're building a miniature of a music studio, um, she and I together. And the affordance of these things. Now, I grew up in poverty, and we never had any of this stuff. But the affordance of these things, anything that engages that kid in the act of process, if they're a vocational kid, and Lily's clearly vocational because it's all about things with their hands.
Mhm.
And Jay is very physical. My grandson Jay is, the moment he's here, he's out in the backyard kicking a ball around. And if we can do whatever we can to encourage those kids to engage in those activities that are akin to the way that their psychology and their associations are just sort of organically gravitated towards, then I think that we'll have happier adults.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
right.
being able to take those opportunities like you're doing with your niece, those are gifts. They're not just gifts for the kids, but they're gifts for us.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So
That's
with the project with these projects that you're working on now, and in addition to that, the other beautiful works that you do, and like the portrait stuff, all these other examples that you've been showing. And for those that aren't familiar with Chris's work, please check out Instagram, as well as the YouTube channel, and see some more of your creative outputs. Is there anything that you would want to pass on to other people about trying some of these different approaches that you've done?
Yeah. Well, specifically for this project,
Sure.
um, rolling your figure with your warm hands helps smooth the finish. And later you can use a small pair of scissors to trim out any sticking hair or strand that is there somewhere. Just have to be very careful not to um, hurt yourself.
Finger
Just have
gloves.
to move it around and see where it sticks out. And practically, it's just having fun. And
Right.
I'm really, really thankful of my colleague to get me to this thing because I have clay, I have foamy clay, and I want to use that material, but because where I work, there is this mini area in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Those materials are very sticky and dirty, and it would be a mess. So I kind of discovered something that is not messy, and that, believe it or not, it takes just a little bit of patience to go from this to step number two, that is making it smaller, and then add the colors. And of course, practice, right? That's the most important thing. Do your practice path before. This is important. This one is important. To make sure you can color everything evenly, that you can make small lines. Why small lines? Because you need them for the mouth, or in some cases, the eyes. These are plastic eyes. The
What?
ones,
That's not real.
yeah, these are plastic eyes. But the cat has got wool eyes.
Oh, there you couldn't tell the difference from the camera.
So, and this one has got crazy eyes because it's a conspiracy chicken.
Conspiracy chicken.
Yeah, that's the one that is the conspiracy one. But it's important to practice. It's important to practice before you actually go and try to create something. And you can have this practice patch at the same time you have your first figure. So if you want to experiment something here that you're not sure, just go to this little thing and it will help you.
And even like, despite your fear of needles, once you got into this, you realized this is nothing to be afraid of. This is something to be able to do. Just got to get over that hump.
Exactly. And this helps, of course. These guards, these finger guards are the best thing. At the beginning, they are very uncomfortable. You feel that you cannot hold anything or something, but believe me, it really hurts. I have just stabbed myself once, and it was because I took them out without any precaution, and it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
So at
Finger
at a
gloves.
certain point, you can handle this with ease and comfort.
I have a friend who has such an aversion to cutting himself with backyard tools, like trimmers and things like that, that he has a
Hmm.
pair of gloves that have a chain link mesh in them. He spent a ridiculous amount of money for these gloves that have basically got chain link gloves inside of them so he won't cut himself.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if that works for you, do your thing. I think I really want to say thank you, Chris, for coming out. Does anybody have any questions that is in the chat, or even if you're
Yeah.
just lurking or anything like that,
Or you
if
can leave them
anybody
in the
has any
comments as
questions,
well.
please feel free to ask Chris. Even if you put it in the comments, I'll make sure she gets any questions. Or you can look up her contact details and address them to her, if whatever makes people comfortable. And of course, Chris, you're comfortable with yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
you can find me on Instagram, and it's my
yeah,
same name. So I'm going to put it there on on the chat. So you can find me on Instagram like this, all together with no special characters. And because I'm mostly on Instagram now, it automatically posts to Facebook, but I rarely open Facebook nowadays. I'm kind of more in Instagram and having
I find
fun there.
Facebook inundates me with nonsense. That's just
Oh
me, but or Facebook it's funny. One of the kids explained this to me. Instagram is for hip people, and Facebook is for their parents.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
hey,
I know. I feel more comfortable on Instagram right now.
yeah. I said, hey man, I'm your parent. They go, yeah, but Dad, you're on both. Oh, okay. I guess I'm validated on some level.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, well, listen, I really want to say thank you for coming out today and
Well, thank you for having me.
for sharing the process of this fantastic craft. And hopefully, if anybody is interested, please to do look into it and give it a shot, or any of the other practices that anybody does that you've seen on the stream, or when you're looking at Chris's work on Instagram, if you've seen anything else there. Jim was with us last week talking about animation. Anything that anybody has shared on the stream, give it a go. Don't hold yourself up. It's those little moments that we have for exploring our creative, edge, for finding other means of communication that sort of lets us, it calms us and it gives us a little more rounding out of who we are and how we define
Mhm.
ourselves. So, but
Okay.
thank you very much, Chris, for joining. And is there anything you want to say to everybody before we wrap up?
Well, thank you for having me, because now with my crazy schedule at university, I will stream back on probably December, but January I will not be streaming that much.
I understand.
But I will probably be doing collaborations only when I'm invited. I'll I'll go with whoever invites me, and
Well, you're always invited back here,
crap.
Chris.
Oh, thank you very much. And well, just have fun with, as you said, with whatever you choose to experiment, because we are here for that. We are souls to have a learning experience, and I think art is one of the best ways to learn something.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you so much once again, Chris. And as usual, I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, working on the next page, and I'll have this one posted in the morning. If you have any ideas or suggestions for one-page stories, or if you've got 3-word prompts even, or whatever, because tomorrow is 3-Prompt Tuesday. So feel free to let me know. Put it in the comments of any of the social media posts or the video or anything like that. And again, wonderful having you, Chris. And I think that the things that you have to say to people and the encouraging words and ideas that you have is just perfect. Perfect.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Thanks very
Thank you
much,
very much.
everybody. We'll see you again. See you tomorrow, 2 p.m. EST. Bye for now.
Oops.